wanted to make this video a little bit fun and talk about BCBA jargon, starting with what the heck is a BCBA. So I really hope you enjoy.
3, 4.
BCBA. That stands for a Board Certified Behavior Analyst. And in order to become a Board Certified Behavior Analyst, you have to complete ABA coursework approved by an ABA accreditation. You also have to have hours in the field, supervised hours in the field, and you have to pass the BCBA exam along with have a master's degree. Now there's a few other routes. If you have a graduate degree, you can do like practicum field work or research and pass the exam and do your hours that way. But basically, we all have a graduate degree. We've all done coursework in ABA, and we've all had supervised field work in the field in order to become a board certified BCBA badass. Explaining what you do, right? What is a BCBA other than what it stands for? This was something I had to work on, and my answer sometimes is always different. But I like to say that we are trained in being able to observe behavior and identify reasons that the behavior is happening and troubleshoot behavior. I also like to say that we know how to teach. We have learned strategies to make teaching fun, easier, and maintainable. So see, I'm still working on the definition. I'm winging this here. But basically, I believe that as BCBAs, we have the knowledge to prescribe interventions that will help the student learn to learn. I recommend practicing, right? Figuring out what sounds right for you, because every BCBA is different. Every BCBA has different values that are important to them. But we all have one thing in common. We love to work with people. Because if you don't love to work with people, you're probably in the wrong field, just so you know. But that's a main one. So, you know, I think it's important to evaluate what you like about your job and why you're doing what you're doing and what you do, right? And because like I said, there's so many ways to describe what BCBA, so many things that incorporate a BCBA. So I think it's good for everybody to have their own unique definition for that. Mand. It sounds nothing like what it means. I really wonder where the names came from, and I'm pretty sure there's an answer to that somewhere. But a mand is another word for a request. Basically, if I'm feeling hungry and I ask for a pizza, then I'm requesting or manding for a pizza. And as a result, I get a pizza or something like pizza. Whatever it is, I'm requesting for something, and as a result, I'm getting something. A lot of times with our kiddos, we teach them to mand by requesting for things in their environment or requesting for things that they like. And when I say environment, that means their surroundings, right? Their home, their school, whatever it is, where they are in the world. Them requesting is a very important part of language, because that is how we all get things that we want, right? We make requests. Tact. Tacting is also another word that's nothing like what it sounds. Tacting is another word for labeling. Now, that involves seeing an object and then labeling the object. So maybe I'm looking at the sky, or a kiddo's looking at the sky and he sees a bird and says bird. Or maybe I look at the sky and I see an airplane and I say, look, it's an airplane. I am tacting. I'm seeing something and then I'm labeling it. And you'll see a lot of kiddos as they're growing up, they're looking at things and they're labeling them. Or if they don't know it, they might point and then somebody might label for them and then they make the connection. Echoic. Echoic is something like what it sounds. It's an echoed word or a repeating of a word or a phrase, but it's repetition vocally. That is an echoic. So if I say Bob and the kiddo or somebody else responds with Bob, that would be an echoic response. The speaker says something, the listener repeats it back. Textual is a great one. We all know what texting is. Texting is being able to see words and read them. Textual, the verbal operant, means the same thing. Intraverbal. Intraverbal. Nothing like what it sounds. Maybe intra means between. Verbal, so I don't know. But the way I like to remember intraverbal is conversation, having a conversation. The speaker is asking a question, the listener is responding, or there's a comment being made and the listener responds. Intraverbal, that's a skill. Now, I'm not sure if this one is a verbal operant, but it came up when I was searching verbal operants. But listener responding and receptiveness, or being receptive, is basically the speaker places an instruction and the listener responds. And they respond in a way that means they understood the instruction. So if you say, sit down, and the listener sits down, they're able to follow and be receptive to the instruction. If you say, touch apple, with a bowl of fruit in front of them and an apple being there, then they are able to be receptive and understand that that is the apple and follow the instruction to touch it. What the function? I don't know why I wanted to say that. But function is a huge word that's thrown around because we ask it all the time. What was the function? Function is the why. What was the reason that this kiddo engaged in this behavior or this person engaged in the behavior? What is the function? So the reason. But non-preferred is basically described around a non-preferred activity or a non-preferred task, which basically means they don't like it. We don't like it. It's non-preferred. Attending skills. That one kind of sounds like what it means, right? Attending, somebody who is attending, somebody who is present. Is the person on task during the activity, or are they nowhere to be found, off thinking about other things, right? Daydreaming, we've all been there. You're not attending. That is hopefully a good explanation of attending. Probe. Did you probe those targets? Probe. So probing is another word for finding out if this is a known skill or not, right? So a lot of times we'll throw it out. Well, if you're a parent, you probably hear this, and if you're a BT, you definitely hear this, but probe targets before introducing them to see what the kiddo knows or doesn't know, right? So find out if the kiddo knows something or not. And probing usually means that we are not helping when we're asking the questions or placing the instructions or whatever skill we're looking to observe. We're not assisting them. We're just basically observing to see how they respond and if they respond correctly or not. Which, by the way, before I move on to the next word, it is so hard not to reinforce during a probing session because we are so programmed to say, yay, when they get things right. So that's one thing I struggle with. I'm not sure if you guys are in the same boat, but I tell my BTs all the time, listen, I'm not great at this either. It's very hard for me to hold back on giving reinforcement, but technically you're not supposed to provide any type of reinforcement or I'm going to go over reinforcement next. Reinforcement reinforcement, that could mean so many different things. It could mean refilling that water bottle. It could mean, I mean, I don't even know. But in ABA, reinforcement means what's going to help make this behavior happen again. Something that reinforces that behavior means it will happen more often in the future. So a lot of times verbal praise is a good way to reinforce, unless the kiddo doesn't like verbal praise. Every kiddo is different. Every adult is different, right? Some adults like being hugged. Other adults are like, don't touch me. So you have to figure out, well, who you're working for, or who you're working with, not who you're working for, who you're working with, and what are their likes and dislikes. But basically, reinforcement is something that helps the behavior occur again. So sometimes it'll be verbal praise. Sometimes it will be access to something yummy, like something tangible, which we can also go over tangible. See, I use the lingo all the time, and I try to speak in less ABA jargon, because that's actually important for us to be relatable and have other people understand us who are not BCBAs, because we, for the most part, are not talking to BCBAs when we are visiting these families. Mastery. Mastered. I love when things get mastered. This means that the kiddo or whoever it is met the goal that we had for mastery. So I think mastered is one that people will know what it means when they hear it, right? Somebody becomes a master at something, which means they become really good at what they're doing. So usually we'll say a skill is mastered when when we see the behaviors that we want to see for a period of time. And yeah, that means it's mastered. Woo, we made progress enough to call it mastered. Generalization, just being general. No, generalization is a big one. We all know this. It is so important that skills are generalized. Generalized just means that we don't just know something in one location with one person. We have to know something in different parts of our lives. Meaning, I don't just know how to brush my teeth at home. I will know how to brush my teeth if I'm at a hotel and there's a toothbrush and a toothpaste different than what I have at home, and I'm able to do the same thing. That is generalization. Some common goals we will generalize. We should be generalizing all our goals, right? Is toileting behaviors, right? Teaching kids to learn to potty at home and in their community and at school, right? Being able to ask for things, not just with mom and dad or your therapist, but with your teacher, with your peers, with people around you, right? Being able to do the skills that we are teaching in other places and other times. That's the goal of ABA. Video over. I want to thank you to all of you who have subscribed this far. I'm really hoping that my journey on YouTube is a good one, and your comments and your support are all helping me continue to do this. So I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you come back for more. Catch you guys on the flip side. Hours in the field, and I hope that looks good. So let's all mand for a lot of things. And no, I don't like that. Yeah.